Recently, I've started to suspect that my wife is falling out of love with me. She's wooden when we kiss, stiff when we cuddle, and even our private life, which used to be her favorite pastime, has become a chore to her. Just as I was beginning to wonder if she was seeing someone else, I stumbled upon a cry for help she posted online. Help! I woke up and realized my high school nemesis is somehow my husband. What do I do? Please help. This is an emergency. I decided to be a good sport and replied, go all in, drain and dry. The bathroom ambush. The familiar click of high heels echoed down the hallway, followed by the sound of the front door opening. Riley, I called out from the bathroom. Come in here and help me scrub my back. 3 minutes passed, and Riley Vance still hadn't appeared. I shouted again, a bit more impatiently. Riley, come on. I'm going to turn into a prune in here. It took another 30 seconds before Riley finally drifted into the bathroom doorway. She was still in her office attire, a sleek pencil skirt and black tights that accentuated her legs perfectly. But her expression was bizarre. Usually, the sight of me in the tub elicited a predatory glint in her eyes. Today, she looked almost shy. Remembering how wild things had been just last week, I shook the thought away. No way. Even if every other woman on Earth suddenly turned modest, this little firebrand wouldn't know how to fake that look. What's taking so long? I tossed the loofah toward her. Put some muscle into it. Use the same pressure you did last time. Riley caught the sponge, but didn't move. She just stared at me, wide-eyed and paralyzed. Hello. I waved a hand in front of her face. Earth to Riley. We just did this 3 days ago. You back for seconds already. I am not, she stammered. Then get over here and scrub. I turned my back to her. I heard a distinct gulp from behind me. The moment her hand touched my skin, she gave a strange, violent shiver. Her breathing turned heavy and erratic. I frowned and turned back around. Seriously? Look, I get it. I'm a workhorse. I'm supposed to do the heavy lifting, but let's just make this a joint effort. Get in the tub. I reached out and pulled her toward me. The bathwater immediately soaked through her silk blouse, making it translucent against her skin. Riley went rigid, looking like she'd forgotten how to breathe. I found this version of her oddly fascinating. Usually, she'd have torn her own stockings off by now and lunged at me like a starving wolf. I reached out and flicked her cheek. What happened to all that big talk from last night? Weren't you going to show me who's boss? I leaned down, my hot breath grazing her neck. Instantly, she broke out in goosebumps. So, how exactly are you planning to show me? I murmured, my hands sliding down. Just as things were heating up, Riley let out a sharp gasp and shoved me away with surprising force. I stared at her, stunned, as she scrambled toward the door. Her face was bright red, her clothes dripping wet, and her voice trembled. I haven't eaten yet. I'm hungry. With that, she bolted for the bedroom, leaving me sitting in the tub, completely baffled. Sex is what you usually call dinner. I yelled after her. And fine, no sex, but you could have at least finished my back. The mystery of the sudden stranger. By the time I finished my bath and came out, the dining table was still empty. Riley wasn't in the kitchen, either. Damn it, what kind of mood was this? Usually, she was the one complaining that I was too boring, too conservative. Today, I finally take the lead and try to spice things up, and she acts like I'm a monster. Growl. My stomach protested. Fine. If I wasn't getting the other dinner, I at least needed real food. I pushed open the bedroom door. Riley jumped about a foot in the air and frantically shoved her phone under her pillow. Yep. Why didn't you knock? I narrowed my eyes. Since when do we knock in this house? What are you hiding? Nothing. Nothing, Riley said, shaking her head vigorously. You just startled me. We've been married for 5 years. I knew her too well. If she wasn't feeling guilty, she wouldn't bother explaining herself. Despite my suspicions, I decided to trust her for now. I am starving. What's for dinner? Riley's eyes darted around. She grabbed her phone and stood up. I'll go cook right now. As she brushed past me, she visibly recoiled, trying to make herself as small as possible. I reached out, intending to give her a playful swat, but she flinched like a startled bird and practically ran from the room. I watched her go, my confusion deepening. Was my flirting really that over the top? Compared to her usual antics, I was being a Boy Scout. Between the superhero costumes, the role-play outfits, and the things she'd put me through over the years, I was the one who usually needed a therapist. Why was she suddenly treating me like a leper? Resentment started to simmer. I walked to the kitchen, where Riley was chopping vegetables. I reached for the handle, intending to give her a hug from behind apology, only to find the door was locked. Hearing the handle rattle, Riley called out over her shoulder, "Don't come in. It's smoky and greasy in here. Just wait in the living room." I didn't argue. I went to the couch and pulled out my phone. Search. Why is my wife suddenly acting like a total stranger? Top answer. She's cheating. There's someone else. The shellfish trap. I didn't buy it. People say that the weirder a couple is behind closed doors, the stronger the bond. On the weird scale, we were off the charts. But Riley's behavior tonight was making it hard not to worry. The suspicion hit a breaking point when she finally set the table. It was a feast of nothing but seafood. Riley knew I was deathly allergic to shellfish. The last time I'd accidentally had a bite of shrimp, I spent a week in the hospital. She, however, loved the stuff, which is why we had separate sets of cookware and a strict no cross-contamination rule. Usually, even when we were mid-fight, she'd at least make me a grilled cheese or some pasta. But tonight, she sat down and started digging into a mountain of crab legs as if I didn't exist. I tapped my fingers on the table. She looked up, genuinely confused. What? Eat. Riley, I am allergic. Remember? Her hand, holding a piece of crab, froze mid-air. Her voice went small and shaky. How could I forget? I'm so sorry. My head is just. I'll make you something else right now. Before I could say a word, she sprinted back into the kitchen. Watching her frantic movements through the glass door, I frowned. She doesn't act like a woman who's cheating. She acts like a woman who's losing her mind. When she returned with a simple plate of pasta, I decided to be direct. Riley, look at me. You're acting weird. Is something wrong at work? Whatever it is, you can tell me. We don't keep secrets. That was the secret to our 5-year marriage. Radical honesty. It was how we survived each other's eccentricities. Riley jumped, nearly dropping her fork. She swiped her phone shut and said firmly, "Nothing's wrong. You're imagining things." The rest of the meal was miserable. She spent the whole time tapping away on her phone. Afterward, she headed for the shower. I tried to find her phone to see who she was texting, but it was nowhere to be found. I tried to join her in the shower, another one of our traditions, but the bathroom door was locked tight. She was definitely avoiding me. Normally, she'd have dragged me in there by my collar. Riley, you want me to wash your hair? No thanks. I'm almost done. A few minutes later, she emerged. To my surprise, she suddenly lunged at me, pinning me to the bed. Her eyes were bright, and she used a voice we only used for the game. Captain, is the bay loaded and ready for ordnance? There it was. The familiar Riley was back. Reporting for duty, Commander. Ready for engagement. Then, she whispered, drawing out the word. Fire. The amateur hour. I thought the Riley I knew had returned, but as soon as the battle began, I knew something was wrong. She was clumsy. It was as if 5 years of marital experience had been wiped clean overnight. I reached up and felt her forehead. Are you okay? She swatted my hand away, her face crimson, and then just lay there like a decorative pillow. I'm tired. I leaned down and kissed her. She kept her eyes wide open, blinking rapidly. Don't you usually close your eyes? I asked. Right. Closing. Closed. A moment later. And what happened to the tongue? Oh, right. Tongue. We kissed for 30 seconds. It was just a kiss. No follow-through, no rhythm. I opened my eyes again to see her looking terrified. Her hands were hovering in midair, wanting to touch me, but seemingly afraid to try. I pulled her close, whispering in her ear, Aren't you going to wrap those legs around me? Right? Wrapping. Now, things eventually moved forward, and she seemed to find her groove, her skills improving at a visible rate. But the feeling of wrongness persisted. Why was my wife acting like a virgin tonight? Were the moves that usually left me gasping for air? I watched her, and despite the confusion, I didn't stop her. If she wanted to play the amateur, I could work with that. The cold morning. I expected things to be back to normal when I woke up. Instead, the behavior became more pronounced. The most glaring change was that she wouldn't touch me. For 5 years, our morning kiss was mandatory. If we were feeling particularly energetic, we'd start the day with a bang. Suddenly being cut off was jarring. 2 days later, I couldn't take it anymore. When the alarm went off, I rolled over and pulled her into my arms. Her entire body went rigid. Every pore seemed to be screaming in protest. When I tried to kiss her, she shoved me away hard. Just give me a break for one day, okay? The sudden shift in our marriage left me reeling. I grabbed my phone and called my best friend and resident bad advice expert, Leo. I think Riley is having an affair. There was a long silence on the other end. You, what? Are you joking? Leo laughed. You two are so freaky that nobody else would even have you. You're built for each other. Shut up. She won't let me touch her. I tried to kiss her this morning, and she practically drop-kicked me. Leo snorted. So she pushed you once, and you're convinced she's got a side piece? Since when did you get so sensitive, Caleb? I laid out everything that had happened over the last few days. The bath, the seafood, the amateur hour, the locked doors. You tell me, if that's not an affair, then what is it? She's coming home later and later every night. It's like she doesn't want to be here. Leo grew quiet. Okay, that sounds serious. You want me to send one of my guys to test the waters? My eyes lit up. Ow! You think she's straying, right? One of my interns is a total heartthrob. I'll have him accidentally hit on her and see how she reacts. I scowled. You want me to set up my own wife? Leo shrugged. It's the quickest way to know. Or we could try the nostalgia route. Nostalgia. Think of your most memorable night together. Recreate it, scene for scene. Remind her why she fell for you in the first place. I hesitated, but for the sake of our future, I decided it was worth a shot. 6. The memory glitch eye went all out for the homecoming. Pedals on the floor, the right playlist, the rest kit. When Riley walked through the door, she was greeted by a sea of roses and a very suggestive song blaring from the speakers. Before she could process the scene, I lunged from behind the door, pinning her down. Don't move. You're under arrest. I clicked the handcuffs onto her wrist and secured the other into the leg of the dining table. Cooperate, and I might go easy on you. Resist, and you're in for a long night of punishment. Ready for your sentence? I gave her a playful swat on the rear. I expected this familiar routine to flip a switch in her, to bring back the fiery Riley who lived for this kind of game. But her reaction chilled my blood. The moment the cuffs clicked, she began to struggle violently. Her face went deathly pale, and her voice cracked with tears. Let me go. Caleb, you jerk. Get away from me. It was the first time she'd ever used my full name like that, and it was the first time she'd ever cried during the game. Usually, she'd be hooking her legs around my neck and telling me to do my worst before finding a way to pick the locks and flip the script. I ran through the checklist in my head. The scene, the music, the dialogue, it was all perfect. There was only one explanation left. She really didn't love me anymore. The energy drained out of me. I felt hollow as I unlocked the cuffs. Riley didn't offer a word of comfort. She stood up, brushed the dust off her skirt, and walked straight out the front door without looking back. I sat in the empty house for a long time. Finally, I gritted my teeth. I'm going to find out who this guy is. I went to the bedroom and grabbed her tablet. The password was still the same. I started digging through her social media, her messages, her emails. Nothing. No secret lover in the DMs. I didn't believe it. I kept digging. I accidentally tapped on a browser, which opened to a tab on a popular relationship forum. Help. I woke up and realized my high school nemesis is somehow my husband. What do I do? Please help. This is an emergency. I stared at the screen. I clicked the post. My memory is still in high school. 1 minute, I'm wishing my horrible rival would fall off a cliff, and the next, I'm in a strange house, and I'm his wife. I have to cook for him, scrub his back, and he keeps trying to touch me. Help. I'm only 18. How did I blink and become a woman who's been sharing a bed with him for 5 years? And the things he wants to do. I'm just a kid. I'm terrified. I looked at the username. It was her private account. I clicked her profile to confirm. My heart hit the floor. God, I spent 5 years training the perfect soulmate-level wife, and the universe just replaced her with her teenage self. The late-night rescue, the mystery was solved. The weight on my chest lifted, replaced by a different kind of panic. 18-year-old Riley Vance still hated my guts. We were rivals in every sense, academics, sports, you name it. No wonder she couldn't handle the intimacy of a 5-year marriage. I scrolled through the comments. They were a nightmare. Wear your high school uniform and surprise him. Role play as a teacher. Find your first love and elope. I scoffed. Sorry, Riley. I was your first love, too. I pulled out my phone and left a comment on her post using my burner account. Drain him dry. Then I checked the time. 10:30 p.m. It was pitch black outside. If this were 28-year-old Riley, I wouldn't worry. But an 18-year-old girl in the middle of a city she barely recognizes? I grabbed my jacket and sprinted to the car. My mind raced. Was she lost? Did she run into trouble? Was she crying in an alley somewhere? I pushed the pedal to the floor. I headed for the old part of town near our old high school. Sure enough, I saw her. She was huddled by a late-night taco truck across from the school gates, clutching a bag of churros and eating like she hadn't seen food in days. I felt a wave of relief. She was safe. But then, a guy approached her, leaning against the counter with a cool pose. Hey, beautiful. You all alone tonight? Riley didn't even look at him. She just kept eating. The guy didn't take the hint and moved closer, reaching for her shoulder. It's late. Why don't I give you a ride? My car's right there. Riley stepped back, her eyes suddenly flashing. You trying to get fresh with me? She let out a dry, manic laugh. I have been through hell the last 3 days. I've been looking for someone to hit. Congratulations, you're it. She delivered a lightning-fast kick to his shins. The guy let out a howl. The crowd around the truck scattered. I stood there, beaming with pride. That's my girl. You want to touch me? She yelled, landing another kick. Don't you know I'm a married woman? Only that one jerk gets to touch me. You old creep. Where's your sense of decency? The guy was crawling away, sobbing. Now, Leo, help. This wasn't in the job description. I want a bonus. Accomplices? Riley's brow furrowed. I'll kick them too. I'll kick everyone. Just then, Leo Thompson emerged from the shadows, looking like he wanted to crawl into a hole. Riley, stop. He's with me. Riley paused, looking at Leo. Now, Leo Thompson. It's me, Riley. Why do you look so old and ugly? Leo winced. Time is a cruel mistress, Riley. But could you please stop kicking my cousin? Riley pointed at the guy on the ground. This creep is your cousin. Leo nodded. It was a misunderstanding. Doesn't matter, Riley snapped. A creep is a creep. He should be in jail. The guy on the ground looked at Leo. Leo, if we're changing the script, we need to talk about my fee. Fee? What fee? Riley asked, her eyes narrowing. Well, Leo stammered. I decided it was time to make my entrance. Riley, thank God. The moment she saw me, her posture shifted. She pulled her leg back and suddenly looked like a kicked puppy. She ran to me, her voice trembling with fear. Caleb, there were bad men. I was so scared. Wah! The parking garage incident, I pulled her into my arms, playing along. It's okay, baby. I'm here. I've got you. You're the best, Caleb. Here, have a cho. Leo stood there, jaw-dropping as he watched our loving reunion. Is this the woman you said was cheating on you? I can't believe I did this for you. I paid that guy $50 to test her. I ignored Leo and turned on him with fake outrage. Leo, I thought we were friends. How could you do something so low? She's your friend's wife. Leo's face turned purple as he took the fall for the whole mess. Riley and I were two of kind, shameless to the core. On the way back, I took a look at my phone. I sent a text to Leo. Thanks, man. I owe you a massage or something. Leo's expression softened slightly, but then his cousin held out a hand. Bonus. Inside the car, Riley was staring at the dashboard of my new Tesla. She tried to act unimpressed, but I could see the wonder in her eyes. I decided to tease her. Riley, it's been a while since we did in the car. What? She asked, looking genuinely innocent. Damn it. She was too innocent. I couldn't do it. My face went through a dozen different emotions. Riley finally realized what I meant, turned bright red, and spat. You pervert. Is that all you think about? Hey, unfair. I'm only suggesting things that you use to suggest to me. Suddenly, a soft hand reached over and grabbed mine. I looked over. Her face was crimson, and she was staring straight ahead at the road. Caleb. Riley, I'm literally driving on the highway. Her hand didn't move. In fact, she squeezed harder. She was trying to look cool, but her ears were glowing red. So, stop complaining. I was losing my mind. We were on the freeway, and I couldn't pull over. Behave yourself, or I'm going to show you exactly how perverted I can be when we get home. She gave me a wicked, challenging smirk. You threatening me, Miller? The next 15 minutes were the longest of my life. I want to get home as fast as possible, but I was also terrified of what would happen when we did. It turned out that even at 18, Riley Vance was a natural-born tease. The moment I pulled into the garage, she tried to bolt. I grabbed her arm and pulled her back. I was breathing hard, my patience at its end. You are in so much trouble. Riley didn't back down. Bring it on. She shoved me into the driver's seat and kissed me. The seat automatically slid back into its furthest position. She climbed on top of me, grabbing my collar with that signature Vance arrogance. You figured it out, didn't you? The soul's confession figured what out. Riley laughed. You think I didn't know that idiot was one of your tests? I play dumb. Riley, I'm a simple guy. I don't know people like that. Nice try. Next time you use a burner account, don't use your own face as the profile picture. Fair point. So, she whispered, since you try to play me, how should I punish you? Punish me? I flipped her over, pinning her to the seat. I think it's my turn to lead. The car rocked for hours. 11:00 p.m. Midnight. 3 a.m. 5 a.m. Riley lay back against the leather, looking flushed and satisfied. No wonder the girls in those movies were so into this. What movies? She glanced at me. Adult business. Don't ask questions, kid. I ground my teeth. Just wait until I've had a nap. Before I could say anything, her phone buzzed. It was her mom. Riley, your brother's back from the army tomorrow. The whole family is getting together. Okay, Mom. We'll be there. I didn't even have time to get out of the car. Exhausted and sleep-deprived, I backed out of the garage and started the 100-mile drive to her parents' house. The fatigue was overwhelming. My eyelids felt like lead. Caleb, watch out. I snapped my eyes open. A semi-truck was barreling down the wrong side of the road. There was no time to brake. I yanked the steering wheel. Crash. The world spun. When I opened my eyes, Riley was screaming my name. Seeing that she was okay, I let the darkness take me. The final goodbye when I regained consciousness. I was on an operating table. Riley was hunched over me, her face a mask of tears. Looking at the expressions of the doctors, I knew. I reached up, my hand trembling as I touched her cheek. Well, I guess I really am going to be a dead jerk now. Riley's sobs turned into a wail. Caleb, no, don't leave me. You can't. You really want to live the rest of your life alone? I whispered. She held me tight, her tears soaking my gown. It's my fault. It's all my fault. I shook my head. Don't. It wasn't you. I wanted to tell her to be brave, but my voice was fading. My limbs felt heavy, disconnected. Riley, promise me. Live. Forget about me. Find someone who loves you. She tried to scream her protest, but the grief had choked her voice. The words were stuck in her throat. I won't. I'm your wife. I'll always be your wife. You promised to never let go. I couldn't hear her anymore. The monitors in the room began a steady, high-pitched drone. Voices blurred into static. Everything went black. Is this what death is? After an eternity, a familiar voice cut through the silence. The awakening. Give it up. It's been years. He's gone. Shut up. I will burn this place to the ground. I swear to God. That was Riley's voice. I opened my eyes, or rather, my consciousness. I was floating in the air. I looked down and saw my own body lying on a hospital bed. My head was covered in a mesh of silver wires, all connected to a massive computer array. A man in a white lab coat sighed. Riley, why? This is the 10th time. Your body can't take much more. If you go back and again, you'll die. Do it. Turn it on. Her voice was raw, like sandpaper. I looked toward the source of the voice. Riley was huddled in the shadows. She didn't look like the woman in my memories. She was skeletal, her face gaunt and pale, looking like a woman on the verge of death herself. Riley, I screamed, but I was a ghost. No one heard me. Through their argument, the truth emerged. The car accident happened 5 years ago. I had been in a vegetative state for 5 years. Or rather, I had been functionally dead. Everything I had experienced, the marriage, the nemesis plot, the house, was a lie. We had never been married. We were on our way to the courthouse to get our license when the truck hit us. Riley couldn't accept it. She had spent 5 years and her entire fortune on doctors, priests, and scientists. Finally, a neurotech specialist had approached her. I can't bring him back, but I can send you to him. The side effects are severe. Riley hadn't hesitated. The dream was born. She had woven a world of beautiful lies for us. In those dreams, she fulfilled every wish we'd ever made, every regret we'd ever had. Sometimes she was the boss, sometimes she was a shy girl. Each session only lasted a year in dream time, and she paid for it with her own health. At 30, she looked 80, and she didn't care. In the dream, I was real, and so she had stayed. Over and over, she experienced the pain of the accident, the struggle of our relationship, the cycle of loss. This last time, she had pushed the simulation so hard she had lost her own memories, which was why her emotions had been so raw and intense. Send me back, she screamed. I need to go back. Riley Vance. I shouted. You idiot. She froze. Her dull eyes seemed to focus on the spot where I was floating. Let me go, Riley. Please. I saw her smile. It was a beautiful, genuine smile, the kind I hadn't seen in years. A single tear tracked down her cheek. She leaned against the wall, her movements slow and agonizing, and walked over to the bed. With a steady hand, she pulled the plug. Beep. My body was officially dead, but my spirit remained tethered to her. I watched her take my body back to the small town where we grew up. She took me to the old family plot. She had dug the hole herself. She lowered me in, then sat by the edge of the grave, talking to me as if I could hear her. I knew that specialist was a fraud, she whispered. I knew his experiments were dangerous. I didn't care. As long as I could see you, he was a god to me. The greatest doctor in the world. She began to shovel dirt over me. She worked from noon until the moon was high in the sky. When she was finished, there was a small mound of fresh earth. When I was a kid, I didn't understand why people cried over a pile of dirt. Now I've built one myself. Caleb, I'm coming down now. Don't be mad. It wasn't hard, really. All these years, you never left me. Every promise we made, we kept. Every dream we had, we lived. We were never apart. She lay down on a mound, curling up as if she were lying in bed next to me. I'm tired now. I want to sleep. Caleb, will you sing to me? Just help me drift off. In the haze of the moonlight, I saw her. The 20-something Riley, radiant and glowing. She was smiling at me, her eyes full of mischief. You jerk. You finally came to get me. She ran toward me, throwing herself into my arms. I wanted to scold her, to tell her she shouldn't have thrown her life away, but the words wouldn't come. I just reached out and ruffled her hair. She grumbled and pulled on mine. We looked at each other, two messy-haired kids, and laughed. She had suffered enough. I couldn't be angry anymore. I took her hand, a wide grin on my face. Come on, let's go home. Epilogue. A Mad Love's last words. My name is Riley Vance. Some call me a madwoman. Caleb Miller's death didn't change the world. At first, his friends and family mourned. Eventually, even his parents accepted the reality. People forgot. His name became a footnote, a sad story told at reunions. I was the only one left behind. His parents told me, Riley, you're young. You have to move on. I've seen movies about memory and death. I know what happens when the last person who remembers you lets go. I try to move on, but every path I took was filled with his shadow. Every sound I heard was an echo of his voice. You're 30, they'd say. Time is running out. Il est juste là. In this world, after 30, you're too old for everything, school, career, love. But when someone dies young, everyone laments how early they were taken. I didn't believe he was gone. I went to bed early every night, hoping he'd visit me in my dreams. He never did. Then I realized, he's stubborn. He's mad at me. So I had to go to him. I had to make it right. When I found a specialist, I got my wish. I saw Caleb. He was alive, breathing, real. We kissed, we laughed, we loved. I knew the cost. I started to forget things, my name, my past. But the fact that Caleb Miller was my husband was burned into my soul. And then, I heard him. Really heard him. I knew I'd won. My Caleb had come to take me home. The road was long, and the path was broken. I had to walk through fire to get here. But as long as it's you at the end of the road, none of that matters. Story complete.